Is it recording? It is. Well, welcome everybody. I am Melissa Parks and I have my friend Dia Top here with me today. And
Hi.
we are going to start discussing truth. Okay, our truth, her truth, my truth, truths that we've come up with since we've known each other, because we've go back maybe four years at least now. So we've grown with each other. We've been able to talk about different things, share different experiences, and help us to uncover what our truth really is, right? Because I feel like we're still uncovering that society's uncovering that. We're all uncovering that in some way, shape, or form. And now, you know, Dia and I have decided it's time for us to speak our truths, and start talking about a lot of the things that we've learned and things that could help others to awaken to who they really are as well. So welcome, Dia. This should be a lot of fun.
Hi, Melissa. This is going to be fun because I think it's important not just us, but everybody really in the world start sharing their experiences, what they're seeing happening in the world. The more we openly communicate with each other, the more we help support each other, because these are really kind of chaotic times for some. I mean, some see it as chaos. Some feel like they're, you know, the calm amid the storm. But for those who are the calm amid the storm, it's important that we, you know, are assisting others, that we're uniting and trying to really create the best new world kind of that we can, because this is our opportunity.
Absolutely our opportunity. It's wide open for us now, to create that new as all these old structures fall. And as those old structures fall, right, we've been amazed at some of them. There's been a little bit of wow factors, and some of them being like, whoa, wasn't expecting that. And then some of the other things that show up are like, okay, well, that kind of explains that. It helped kind of connects all the dots that we've been connecting.
Oh my gosh, yes, dots. You know, you can connect dots on a global scale. You can connect dots, you know, within your community. I have really started connecting more and more dots personally, from having, you know, a 27-year career as a designer doing high-end interiors. You know, so much of what's coming out in the public, I see now experiences that I had, things I witnessed with clients and companies, that it all starts to make sense, you know. And sometimes I feel kind of guilty, like, oh my gosh, how did I not see that? You know, how was I not aware that these kind of things were happening? Because it's all been hidden in plain sight in front of us. You know, all the types of things that are happening in the world, whether it's the pedophilia, the treason, there's so much corruption, and you don't want to completely focus on all of that, you know, because we want to stay high vibe. That's why we're here, especially as star seeds. You know, we have this little seed in us that is, we were literally implanted with this like high vibration, that we were brought to earth to help hold that vibe and raise that vibe. But it's still important, that being said, that we are aware of what's going on and we wake up to the truth, so we can change it, so we can make it better.
And there's so many of us that are ready to make it better. Some of us are still kind of stuck in what's going on, right? Even some of those star seeds, light workers, are still a little stuck in that. But that's all right. They're going to come out of it sooner or later. They're learning just like the rest of us, right? Because just like we weren't paying attention, they weren't paying attention either. So it's whenever that, you know, ringer goes off, when you connect enough of the dots, you're like, it's like you have this perfect aha moment and you're like, oh, it makes perfect sense now. Why didn't I see that before? You know what I mean? And also, I've also noticed, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's, you know, when you're in the thick of it, you know, we discussed this the other day, it's hard to see beyond that because you're so caught up in the drama and the chaos and everything. But once you start seeing it for what it is, and you start kind of going through it, all those different layers, whether you're working in the mental planes, the energetic planes, whether you're in your physical, you know, life and our, you know, real world existence, if you will. Once you start seeing it, then you can observe it from above, if you will, you know what I mean? And then you start understanding that there's a much bigger picture. So the chaos and all that stuff starts making sense of how it's actually leading to productive, positive change.
So true. And I see a lot of things that are already changing for the positive. None of them are being talked about on mainstream media, but they are happening behind the scenes. It's just people don't recognize that yet. And that's where part of the sad part is the whole mainstream media and everyone trying to keep the real truth from us, right? You know, and trying to keep us stuck in that same narrative, whatever they're trying to, you know, feed us and keep us under whatever thumb or control or whatever they're trying to keep us under. And I feel like more and more of us are waking up because we're not listening to mainstream media and we're tapping into our soul self, right? Because that's helping us too. We're tapping into that soul self, and that soul self is like, that's a bunch of garbage. I can't listen to that. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fit, you know, it doesn't fit. And especially patterns, right? This is something I've noticed when I started to be a psychic, right? Everything's a pattern, everything. Our relationships are a pattern. Everything's a pattern. And it's just like everything that we're going through in 2020 is also another pattern, but it's like on a huge scale. And patterns all need to be broken, right? To create new patterns. That's why everything's happening like 2020 is like everything's all at once. It's like the mudslide is, you know, it's like showing me everything. There's like all these little disasters are showing me, but it's all the collapsing of the old, collapsing of that dark so that we can be more light here. So we can be our sovereign souls.
Yeah, because I don't think there's any coincidence that the word lie is in belief.
Or in television.
Yeah. Or in, you know, and even, you know, I've had this push and pull. Like I can see the patterns. I can actually just almost see the duality in my life now. See the push and the pull from like each side, positive polarity, negative polarity in, you know, this TV series kind of thing. Because on one hand, you know, it can be really good done outside of the Hollywood sphere of influence once you understand how dark that system is, and everything has been built on that is basically false and a lie and inverted truths, and you know, it's just all hidden, which people can research on their own and find out all sorts of things. And I will definitely, you know, post some more links and things on Facebook if people are interested. I would advise not to dwell on the darkness or whatever, but being aware of it is really important, because we are going to be reaching stages where more and more is revealed to the public. More and more truth comes out. And once that happens, people are going to be shocked when they learn that their favorite celebrity or their politician that they looked up to and they revered, you know, they, all these people they put on pedestals, when all of that comes crashing down and they realize the really harsh truths of what these people have been doing. And so that's, you know, getting back to where I was talking about, you know, feeling that pull both ways. I can see it now. And, you know, if you go one direction, you can be totally sucked into that by seeking fame, fortune, whatever. And then at the same time, trying to pull and create new outside of that sphere of influence. You see that, like I see that as a really positive, exciting thing to do. But just like you said, in televised, you know, any type of casting, you know, what is that really? What is acting? Is it they're still wearing masks? So I think creating those new structures moving forward is going to work for a certain period of time while we transition. We can use them as teaching tools to help other people learn. But eventually, we're even going to move beyond that, you know, where we're in higher vibrational levels where no one would even consider ever acting as anything other than themselves.
I'm ready for that. I'm ready for everyone to be their true and authentic self. One that makes life a lot easier. Oh
You know,
my
and
God.
maybe we'll, you know, jump that high quicker. You know, I don't know. I guess we will see. And I'm continually learning, you know, what is it that I can share? How can I share that is truly assisting, you know what I mean? In the highest
Right.
vibrational level. So I don't know, this project that I've been working on, I'm starting to wonder if, you know, really is that the best path forward to assist. So
All right,
that's
I can tell you right. the heart is going to help lead the way, right? Because
Right.
I posted a bunch of stuff that always says that too. It's like the inner guidance is going to help so that we can help humanity in the highest and best way, right? Because when we're tapped into this, we're helping ourselves, we're helping everybody else. When we're just tapped into the ego, like we've been seeing through many lifetimes, you know what I mean? It's all about controlling others and not listening to this, you know what I mean? So now we're going back to heart center. So this makes me excited.
Yeah, and a part of me feels like once you really reach, you're locked into that full heart center, you can go out and do really brave things that may not look on the surface like they are of the highest vibration, but yet you're doing it for a purpose that awakens others. So it really is. But do you know what I mean? I don't know. And those are the things that I'm on my journey. I'm still working my way through. I'm still learning every day. I'm still trying to reach my highest potential every day. And, um, gosh, just be the best humans we can, the best star seeds.
Yes, the best in everything that we do, but the best
Right.
for humanity, right? So, yeah, and I feel like we're going to be learning that every day forever, because we're always evolving, anyways, right? So, and as humans evolve through this compassion and using their heart again more, that's going to help people to wake up too and be more compassionate towards each other. And we won't see so much chaos. I'm ready for the chaos to just kind of settle down a little bit. It's been like 4 months. I'm like, people wake up. And it's not like I'm trying to rush y'all or anything, but it would be nice if you woke up a little bit faster. I know everything happens in divine time and everything has to play out its role.
According to plan or whatever you want to say. But how do we kind of all unite to assist those who are going to be shell-shocked when more truths come out? I mean, now I know a lot of the truth, and about various celebrities and, again, the pedophilia, the things that go even way darker than that. I was so incredibly grateful when Trump wrote that executive order back in, I want to say December of like 2017, about the sex trafficking and cracking down on all of that, the pedophilia, everything. Because I used to get little glimpses of visions of it, but I didn't know what to make of it. And now looking back, I think, oh my gosh, there's some little signs and little things in some of, from my clients and stuff that I probably could have picked up on, researched more if I wasn't in that me, juggling career and kids and all of that kind of stuff. So at this point, now that I have went through the kind of awakening and awareness on those various levels, how can we unite? Because I know you've went through the same thing I have. So how can we really unite and assist other people who are going to be waking up and learning these things?
One, they're going to seek us out by our vibrations. So as long as we keep our vibration high, right? As long as we keep doing everything that we need to be doing, because it's like we're still creating inside each side our bubbles, right? But we're going to assist those on the outside of us. So you keep creating inside of your bubble, right? And then we assist people on the outside of our bubble that want to rise up, because we can only help those that actually want to be helped. Because you can see some of those that we reach out to help right now, they're like, back off, you're telling me wrong information or something they don't want to hear. So we, as our vibration stays high, right? Because it's about raising our vibration. So as we raise that vibration, the people will seek out that vibration because it'll feel good. It'll know it'll have answers.
Well, you do such a great job on your show, your Joyful Finding show, which to me is very different. And you and I talked about this the other day from, when I mentioned the psychic rat thing, about how people can use their psychic abilities for things that aren't necessarily of a light, high vibration. You know what I mean? And it can be a form of predictive programming in a way, just like TV can be, telling people what to do, all of that. And then I think it's just really cool how your journey has led you to really focus on those higher vibrations, take your power back, and then you're using it through this show to like ignite people's like inner spark of excitement and joy, and you know, getting back to those creative imaginative things like painting and you know, music and things that really, you know, come from our heart. That's where our true expression comes from. You know, it's our soul expression. So that's the purest, highest vibe kind of energy that we can put out there.
Correct. Love it. Thank you. That's awesome. And that's what we're supposed to be doing, is raising that vibration, right? Because everyone here on earth has always wanted to be happy. They're always seeking it in one way, shape, or form, whether they're trying to do it for themselves or they're trying to gain it through somebody else, right? It's always like that's something they're striving for. So now it's like, go within. What is that really for you? It's really so much more simple than we thought it was a year ago, 10 years
Happiness
ago.
actually is inside.
Huh?
Once you find happiness is really inside. Once you find that, it's, and you know, clear all that space out, it's almost like where you're resonating inside, your high vibe inside then starts reflecting in your outer life, you know, your outer experiences. Not that you still don't have, you know, challenges and lessons and all of those kind of things that we all go through on our, you know, journeys here, that that are, gosh, we're so lucky, aren't we, that we are here at this time for these major, incredible changes that are happening on Earth.
It's exciting.
I mean, it's so exciting.
It is so exciting. And people would probably look at us and go, what do you mean this is exciting? Well, look at how much change is really taking place right now. It's like, you know, it's like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like, you know, it's all happening very fast. I mean, that's way better than making it slow. Let's change, happy, yay. Even though it's going to be a little slower than that, but
you know, everything is, that's part of the plan, part of us learning patience. Boy, hasn't that been a big one.
oh, that's like one of the key words as being a human, patience.
Patience, yeah, exactly, patience. Yeah, and false light. I think it's important that people start learning and paying attention to what false light is, recognizing false light. A lot of light workers, I believe, aren't really working with pure light, because so much of the New Age community has been hijacked, just as religions have been hijacked, and my God, our foods, and I mean, there's just about nothing on earth that wasn't somehow inverted. You know, we've been living in this inverted system, and so it's time, really, I think, for everybody to dive inside and seek clarity, to make sure that what we are doing is coming from our heart and from the purest, highest vibration it can. And that's why I find myself questioning the whole series thing. But yeah, anyway, that's been a big one for me, to learn, you know, the difference between the false light, the consciousness traps, you know, all we go through in our dreams, and then how that relates, that plays out, you know, from the astral plane, and how that plays out in our everyday lives. And again, the light workers, I think, are one of the biggest groups that really need to consider what light they're working on. They need to really, I don't know, how would you describe it, Melissa?
Well, the words that keep coming in my head while you're trying to find the words is open up to your highest potential. Okay, because it's like, as I see it sometimes as layers, right? Like we only go to like maybe, you know, here, and then we don't want to connect any higher than that. And we've stayed at this level maybe for 30 years, 40 years, 10 years, 2 years, whatever. And now God's like, no, you need to kick it up a notch and see what's really going on, because the higher you go in the vibrations and the higher that connection that you make, the more that you can see that's going on down around you. You know what I mean? It really does give you that eagle eye perspective of what's really happening here. Because, you know, if you think about it, the ETs like are watching us and we're like in this fishbowl, right? Just figure Earth is looking like this fishbowl and we're all walking around and swimming in this fishbowl. And it's like they can see everything that we're doing. And now you have the ability to be able to do that too when you reach those higher vibrations.
Yeah, I think that's why many people are finding this a very calm, peaceful time, because once you can see at those higher levels, you understand all the different layers and the different perspectives of what's happening. I mean, we've got soul families here that they're working out different, things. I mean, there's so many different variations. Incredibly important not to judge, because you never know why someone's here, what they're going through. I like to always think about it as you never know the work somebody's doing in their dreams, or that seed that is in their heart that they're holding such a high vibration level. Even though they may not be living necessarily that truth, it doesn't mean that they're not still holding that space here on earth that's assisting everybody else.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also important to be aware of all of those who are still feeding the negative systems and the false light. If you're working with false light, that foggy, light, then you're still feeding that negative system, whether you believe you are or not. And man, it's important to be aware of those people who are feeding the complete negative. And that's why, again, I am really digging deep and making sure if I move forward with this, that I am doing it in the highest vibration, the highest way.
I agree that you are, because you probably still will be moving forward with this. That's just how I feel about it. Because you keep saying that, you want to help assist, and how better to assist than to show how we've been manipulated, right? Because even with your little 6-minute little sizzle, that it brought me to tears. So when things actually bring me that emotional, it's truth. I'm like, oh my God, people need to see this so that they can wake up and see what's happening to them. And it could be just that spark that they need, to ignite that flame, you know what I mean, that they need, because it's maybe been on low. They haven't been having that highest vibration, and all of a sudden this kicks them in. And again, everything happens in divine time. And they're probably wondering what we're talking about. So we should probably talk about that a little bit, Dia, so they know what we're talking about now. So tell us about your series, Dia.
I am working on creating a TV-like series, because I don't see it like mainstream in that way of the old ways. Because, what we're going to be doing, all of this stuff is collapsing. Hollywood is basically collapsing. That doesn't mean that everybody in Hollywood is bad. Absolutely not. But the old ways, those darker ways, if that's the way you want to term it, it's time for that all to go away. There's just too much light coming into Earth to, it's just all being revealed now and collapsing. So the series is really focuses on a character who is going through this awakening process, awakening and awareness. So it's not just learning about, like as you hear that siren in the background, it's
Are
not
there
just
two vehicles?
It's not just learning about the corruption, the inverted systems, and oh my gosh, there's so many different levels of it. But it's also their spiritual awakening, them remembering who they are. And it focuses on one main character, but really it's a whole cast of people, because we all go through the process completely differently. We all awaken differently at different times. We all, have these different journeys. And so it's, I've described it a little bit like Sex and the City meets the Matrix during the Great Awakening. And, the intention of my purest intention is that it assists people, and that just makes me want to cry.
See,
So
that's when you know you're doing it out of love.
because I wanted to assist people. There are going to be so many people who are shocked when they learn the truth of what's been happening. I mean, so many people idolize musicians and celebrities and religious figures and politicians, and yet those are a lot of the people who, and whether they're just puppets, whether they have chosen that path, whether they have been blackmailed. I mean, there's just,
Endless possibilities to the
there's a
story.
lot of different possibilities. Again, no judgment, but it is time for us to wake up and make new choices, make positive changes in all of our lives, individually, on a city level, on a national level. Like, I think that this whole pandemic thing, everything is like two sides of a coin. When you read the energies, right? It's a flip side of a coin. So you either see the positive polarity in it, whereas when you look at the pandemic, in my opinion, the positive polarity is that it is giving us time to go inside. I mean, there's so many positives we can find in it, the silver linings in it. It's giving the people who are working at those highest levels to bring all of this out into the light and to create these new systems that most of us, like starseeds, have been working on, collapsing or re-inverting, switching to positive. It gives us all time for all of that new to start emerging. We're creating new and it's all building. But when you look at the other side of the coin, you've got all that fear. You've got all that descending energy that's being sucked down with the fear. So it's so important to start pulling everybody up out of that fear base, bring them up to the love part where we realize how powerful we are. Because, oh my gosh, that has been hidden from us. That is one of the things that they have not wanted us to find out. And if you want to say we've been enslaved on earth, whether this, you think that's the truth, or when you even see it in a higher perspective, you can say this is just, our school that we're learning from. It's all, I'm sorry, I got distracted because John just walked in. But anyway, it's all my idea is to kind of show all of that in the series if possible, because I think it's going to help people understand, do you know what I mean? All the different levels and various things. Because you can go down a rabbit hole and you can get sucked in that rabbit hole and focus on just that. And that's fine, because certain people are meant to do that. Because that means they're the ones revealing those certain symbols that have been inverted so we can revert, them back. Anyway, I'm just at this point rambling, but
not really. It's all very important. Even when we feel like we're rambling, the information is very important until it just stops. So your human stopped you, so don't allow that to happen anymore, right? Because the human likes to stop us a lot. They're like, no, the human part of us is like, no, we said too much, or no, we just haven't said enough, or whatever. So we're letting go of all that too. So don't feel like you're ever rambling on, because any information that's flowing out of us in that kind of form is supposed to just flow. And that's where we stop a lot, right? That's where we don't talk our truth a lot, right? We all like, oh, I better not say that because that's going to make somebody upset, or I'm going to, upset the apple cart, or whatever is going to happen.
But now's the time we do that, isn't it? Now is the time that, like, I denounce Hollywood. I didn't,
yes.
The dark, all of that nefarious stuff. I denounce, the Chinese dealings that have overtaken that industry by like 70%. I think we have to kind of stand up and denounce that and say, no, we deny consent. We deny consent of that. I will not wear a mask. I choose not to wear a mask. I am grateful that I live in a state where it's really not an issue. In any place that it is a slight issue, I just choose not to go.
I'm the same way. I'm choosing not to wear a mask. I did wear one at the doctor's office because I had to take my child there. They did require it in their office. They gave it to me. I don't own one. But I will not go into another facility that is requiring you to wear one, because I do not want to be silenced. I don't want
Right.
to be a loss of my breath, because that's what it feels like to me. You know what I mean? So you don't isolate the healthy. No, you don't
Right.
do it.
And then I think once we get people to understand, or we help assist them to understand, they really have to do it on their own, because you can't tell people these things. I mean, they've got to research, they've got to learn it on their own. That's why, when we post memes or we post links or things, it's just really is to put information out there that if it resonates for somebody, for them to read it, it may help spark something in them that, gives them awareness, that causes them to seek truth. Whether that's, inner spiritual truth, or whether that's seeking truth outside of us, but really, how much truth is there outside of us? And then all of that leads us, again, when you start going up into those higher levels, you start even seeing that there's no duality at all. We are only experiencing that here on earth. So up there's no judgment. There's no really difference between light or dark. It just, everything is, but first, I think people need to wake up. And we all need to kind of understand what's happening on this level to then help us start getting up to those other levels.
Right. And it's kind of like we've talked about before. It's like, as we rise, right? Because there's a bunch of us, it's not just you and I, there's a bunch of us on earth that are they are raising their vibration. They are spreading the truth out there.
Yeah.
They are total light workers. And as we grow up, right, in the vibration, then we're able to come back down into that vibration to help people out when they want to. It's kind of like you see in your dreams as us throwing them a life preserver or something, or you just diving down and picking them up or whatever. But, it's like we're there to assist them. We're there to assist all.
Oh, yeah. My dreams are, wow. I wouldn't even know where to begin explaining.
I wouldn't know where to begin with your dreams either. And I don't even know them all, but just the ones that I do know, you know what I mean? I'm like, wow, was I there last night? Because sometimes I do end up in her dreams and I don't even know. But it's funny because your dreams are quite out of this world. And I've been telling a lot of people that too, you know what I mean? So they can relate with that, because they'll come to me and I'm like, I'm not in this world when I'm in that dream. And I'm like, I know, it's like your body's resting and you're off in another world doing, sword fighting or talking to someone or crying or, whatever mission you have to go on that night to go finish your work. You know what I mean? Your nighttime work.
Yeah, I think that dreams, it's important not to be scared of your dreams. Don't fear your dreams. Because really your higher self is the one that's in my opinion, is in complete control in your dreams. And you'll have, things may try to pop in and distract you, but really your higher self is in full control in your dreams. So, I think that is where we do so much of the work that we do. But now it's to the level where it's ground crew. We are doing the work here so much more now, even in the physical. People are giving up their jobs. People, we're all starting to switch and do things, our purpose, our mission, and using the things in our past that we learned. I learned so much from design. I learned so much from everything I've done, from writing. And that is, using all those gifts and talents helps you then do what we're here to do at this stage in our lives, and this stage in the game, if you will, because some people basically say that this is all, a game. Interestingly, the CIA came out recently, which, again, you can't, the 3-letter agencies, that's one of the biggest deceptions for any 3-letter agency. But they came out recently and they, with documents saying that the universe is a hologram. We live in a holographic universe. So that I find is fascinating. because think again about, that opens us up to asking even more questions instead of staying in this physical 3D level and asking questions, whether it's our higher self or, in conversations to each other or out loud. We're now asking those kind of questions, whether it's, a little nugget we get from them or it's something else, but we have that ability to start thinking, okay, so what is our reality? What really is this reality? What is this physical form? Because I don't know about you, but the more I meditate and stuff, the less physical I feel. Like I barely feel physical at all sometimes. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just,
I don't feel physical sometimes either.
I know, and we're living in the most incredible time. And you're right, when you say wake up, people, because to me, it's not so much waking up to those truths about what we would perceive maybe as, the negative stuff. Those
Wake up to
harsh
the joy. Woo! Wake up to the joy.
Wake up not only to the joy, but wake up to the understanding of what we're capable of. Our energies, our power not just to manifest, but I mean as creators, as oh my gosh, we literally have the power to create universes. And I mean, we just forgot that because we come into 3D, and not only do you agree to come into this level of density, that amnesia kind of thing, but they inverted everything on top of that, so it was like a double whammy as to what we've been dealing with and how we've had to peel back all of those layers to get to this point where we can really start tapping into those powers, and maybe it's not power per se, abilities.
But it's all the energy, because the energy is everything, right?
Yeah.
So being able to use all of our energy again, right? So think of it as like your DNA strands, right? They only want to go to seize 4 on Earth, right? Out of 12. What are the other 8 for? You know what I mean? It's like, woo, bang, 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 we got stuff to do.
They led everybody to believe they were just junk, right?
Yes, but they're not junk. They were the good ones. They only left us the 4 junk ones. It was the opposite. So whatever they tell you, just flop it, okay? Because then you'll get the truth out of it. You know what I mean?
That's pretty much, that is so true. You just kind of turn it around. And now we're turning a lot of things around. But when you first start seeing things, like you and I had this little conversation the other day about symbols.
Oh, yeah.
And the pedophile symbols. And all these other kind of, whether you want to call them occult symbols or things. And they've inverted them. And so they've attached energy to them. And we are in the process of unraveling all of that, taking the power back from that. So there's, and really what it is, like say they use a symbol of an owl, right? For Moloch or cult or whatever, but essentially it's what's hidden behind that. So it's not necessarily that the owl is bad, it's that they've hidden their darkness behind those kind of things.
Yes.
But they show the owl because to them, they're showing it in plain sight. And so if we, continue to agree with those kind of things, it's like we're continuing to go along with it. That's why the truth needs to be revealed and we need to be making changes. And then at that same time, we need to also then be focusing on how powerful we are, where we came from, what we're made of, and what incredible, positive, wonderful things we have the potential to create, and start creating that.
Agreed, and we're going to start creating it today. We've been creating it for a while now, and we just need everyone to catch up and start creating with us. You know what I mean? Let's all create something magical here on Earth. That's what it's all about.
Yes, yeah. It's exciting, and again, it's hard sometimes talking to people when, they're so tied into the fear, they're so linked into the fear, when I just see infinite potential. There's so much potential here.
Exactly. But that fear is what controls the people, right? Because if they can't take care of it themselves, that's why people are all like, yeah, wear masks, whatever, because they're all fearful by the stuff, you know what I mean? So The fear is keeping them contained. And God wants us to have no fear. It's just like, we have no fear in your dreams, have no fear in your waking life either, because nothing can really hurt you. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's still bad people out there, but if you believe that you're doing everything of the highest and best with all those intentions, you're like walking around with this like, you know, like this protection on that you never even knew you had, because you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing there.
But I think to get to that protection, I mean, for me anyway, I had to learn about all that.
Yes, you did.
I had to see all that. I had to be able to recognize it, not just in dreams or, you know, on the different, you know, dimensional levels or realms, but in physical life, in real life. You know, I had to, and I'm still going through that. I mean, I'm still learning. You know, anytime I'm triggered by something, I really question why. Why was I triggered by that? How do I learn from it? You know, I try to embrace it. I try to embrace everything as a learning experience to see how I can, I'm not going to say do better, because, you know, is it really better? But grow, expand, keep going beyond, reaching our highest potential.
Which I love, always going to the highest potential. Because that's what it's all about, right? Because even when we're growing, right, we're always trying to reach some kind of highest potential. Now it's the energetic self. What is your energetic self? And earlier you talked about people quitting their jobs. I had like 3 clients this week that I swear to God are resigning or quitting their jobs and going on to something else because it just doesn't make them happy anymore. I'm like, woo, people are finally, you know, and one of the things that holds them back before they make that jump is like, but I know I'm going to make X amount of dollars a month, and I'm giving that up by chasing my dream. And I'm like, well, if you chase that, I'm telling you, you're going to get that, and you're probably going to get more. You know what I mean? Because one, you're going to be happy. You're going to have a better schedule. Your bills are still going to be paid. Everything's going to be joyful. You know what I mean? So I see a lot more people that are going to be switching up whatever they're going to be doing from this day forward. So create it out of whatever you're happy about, you know, because that's what it's about.
Yeah. Because it's that inner connection that ends up being love, joy, happiness. And once you find that, nothing else really can bother you out and around. And even when you are triggered by something, then you come back to center. You come back to center, you make sure you're in your heart, you know, your heart is open. And I think a lot of people are going through now, a higher heart is opening. So people are feeling a lot of throat stuff, I'm sure. I know I have.
Absolutely. I know they are.
Is that kind of is opening more as well? And wow, the Schumann resonance. If people, anybody watches this who doesn't know what that is, I think that's a really invaluable tool to, if you're feeling off one day, energy-wise, different things, you can read that and you can kind of see, you know, when there's a lot of white on the Schumann resonance, you know that we are getting hit with a lot of energy, good, positive, wonderful. Yes. Yeah. Because the last time there was a big wave that came in, man, I couldn't believe, like, energetically, when I see that, how incredibly huge it was. You know, most of the time you try to jump on the top and you want to ride the wave so you're not getting crashed in the chaos and everything. But this last one, boy, I was playing underneath the water, you know, that still point underneath there when, you know, the big wave comes across, but you're so far under it that you don't. Yeah. So I think it's becoming more exciting to get to those points where the waves aren't, because I'm sure, you know, there's a lot of other people who are the same way. The waves aren't knocking us down, or we don't necessarily have to feel like we have to jump on top to ride it. We can start having new experiences with it.
I think that's what people are going to start doing, is creating their new experiences. Once they recognize that they have the ability to do that, because not everyone recognizes they have the ability to create their own experience into what they want it to be, right? They're still stuck in the old, patterns of such. So more patterns need to be broken down a little bit, and then people will be ready to start new. And those that are already breaking out, they're going to be like way ahead. But it doesn't matter where you are in the race, because it's really not a race. It's all in divine time anyways. It's all when you decided to go, oh, I'm going to wake up now. And something you brought up earlier about the dark, right? It was like when I first started using all my psychic abilities, I was like, oh, I'm just going to deal with good energy and all this stuff. And then, boy, wasn't I in for a surprise when they brought the dark to me, to literally to me, so I could recognize good and bad, so that you need to have that as an energy understanding. So, oh, you know what that is now. You know that's not coming from a good place. Oh, and this is coming from a high vibration. We like that. It's light and airy. And then when we start to recognize the difference between the two, we can start to recognize it in almost everybody. And then everyone else is going to be able to start to recognize this too, because that's going to help everyone also to come out and be their true selves, right? And it's also about clearing a lot of the dark energy that's still here on earth. You know, it's like I just, clear energy whenever I can, wherever I can, whenever I'm called. You know what I mean? I'm like, if someone calls and says, hey, I'm having issues, I'm like, all right, let's clear that energy out for you. Because a lot of stuck souls are still here too. You know what I mean? So it's like, we feel that, just send them back into the light. They can go back because they still feel like they're going to be judged. You know what I mean? So that helps keep the energy dense down here, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I just think it's important to know what light we're sending people to.
Yes. Well, I always send the angels in to send them back to God. So I always go back to source because it's safe there.
But again, that goes back to that recognizing of the false light, right? And making sure that whoever is doing that, like you said, you are making sure that you are connecting with the highest, purest, undefiled light, if you will. Because once you learn the difference between the light and the dark, that is fairly easy. Because it's so obvious. Do you know what I mean? It's black and white. But then you start getting into the layers and how the deception has worked and how, they're hiding things in plain sight. That's why when you watch almost any movie, it could be a romantic comedy, and you're going to see a black and white checkerboard floor, or a black and white checkerboard ceiling, or a painting that has it in it. And you could go back to the black and white movies from the 50s or whatever, and 30s, and you're going to see the same kind of things, because this has been going on for thousands and thousands of years. They have been intricately weaving this energetic system that has been feeding off of the lighter energies, right? And so now that is what we are all unraveling, and and that's what we were sent here to do. We are basically just now doing really the heavy duty work that we were sent to do. And part of that comes with the clearing of the energy, which we can automatically do when your heart is fully open. You're probably transmuting energy, discordant energy, every time you walk into a store, anytime, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think that pretty much is on autopilot for most of us, which is a good thing, because there's so much of that dead miasma that needs to be cleared. But you can also at the same time feel that it's clearing, can't you? You can feel how much lighter everything is. And that part of it is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and you mentioned the lighter. Even my brother has mentioned since this COVID that the sky is bluer than he remembers. You know what I mean? And he's not spiritually aware as much as we are. He's getting there. But he's like, I noticed this color of the sky. You know what I mean? So people are starting to recognize it, whether they're starting to really understand what they're seeing or feeling, or going, oh, that does look a little different, but they don't recognize it. You know what I mean? Because it's like walking around with blinders on. So everyone take your blinders off. Let's see everything for what it is.
Yeah, the world is definitely changing. and it is my intention to assist people. And that's why I thought it was important to kind of share some of my story, kind of what I've been going through. And, you know, we've been on this journey for years together. And I think you've been doing such a great job getting things out there with your show, Joyful Findings. And I'm excited about helping people in any way I can. So people want to contact me, or anybody thinks that watching this sizzle reel that we produced, Complicated by Design, if that would assist them. I think for a lot of people that probably maybe brings up questions, because even though it is written in fiction, it's really, my intention was that it, you know, from the heart, shares from the heart, and that it touches on truths that we all can kind of relate to, and then it can help people start asking those questions, because once we start asking questions, we start getting answers. So the more questions we ask, the higher we continue to rise, because we keep learning, you know, we keep shedding that old, and finding out new information. It's essentially what is ascension. It's a raise in consciousness, right?
Yes.
And we'll just continue to do that. It's a cycle that goes on and on and on and on and on. So we got to just keep asking questions, keep learning, keep exploring, keep, you know, opening up, going beyond,
Yes.
connecting higher.
Yes. Yes. Connect higher. Keep going. Do your research. Tap into what your truth is, not what other people's truth is, because not all of it's the same. Right?
Don't believe everything you read. You know, you've got to really
Exactly. Don't.
and research. And you'll know the truth. People know the truth. It sits well in their heart. And I think that part of the reason I don't think there's like a true truth per se in this level is because our truths are always changing. What's our truth one day isn't our truth even the next day or even the next minute, you know, because we're in a constant state of change. So that's why it's important to break up all those habits, all those old things we believed in, you know, that were set in stone, that really we're now learning was all mind control, predictive programming, all of that kind of stuff. And once you learn that, you totally take your power back from it. Just like you can take your power back from, you know, relationships you had, from the people you connected with. You take your power back from corporations or jobs or whatever. And stand in our truth and stand in our light and speak from the heart. What else can we do, Melissa?
You pretty much summed it up right there. That's pretty much, and whatever we're creating, right? Our thoughts, keep our thoughts pure and clear about what it is our intentions are, about what we're creating, right? Because that's going to help us to manifest those things faster. Because we want to create a better life for ourselves. We want to be happier. So if you're doing that in your mind first, that's where we need to create them. That's where we also get caught up with any fears that might be spinning around, right? They feed it in there and it kind of sits there. And I always call it like sitting on the sit and spin, and it looks all dirty, like I'm doing it in mud or whatever. You know, and it's just like, it just muddies everything up. So it's like, just shoot it out and keep everything clear and positive. If it's not of light and bright, it needs to go.
Well said. Well said. Okay. Well, I am grateful to have shared today. This was fun. And thank you again for just, you know, being my friend and helping me through this process over the years, because, wow, it's been quite a journey, hasn't it? Yeah. Fun and joyful, though.
Oh, it has been, you know, even when it was really hard at times, right? Because we always hit a wall at one point or another in our journey, you know, because our mind wants us to go this way because it said so, and we wanted to accomplish these things, and then we run full head into it. And, you know, so yeah, so it's like through this journey, we've learned that it can be joyful even when we hit a wall, right? Because it's like, all right, the wall doesn't have to hurt as bad as it used to, right? Because we used to probably hit the wall and be like, you know, let it destroy us for days. Now within an hour, we've got it figured out, and we're like, all right, we understand why this is happening, and time to move on.
Well, and now we know we can fly right over the wall.
Exactly. We don't even have to hit it now. So
We literally have that power. We just fly up and over the wall, and then you're out of it. And you completely move on. Because once you learn that so much of it's not even physical anymore, you know what I mean? Where it's all energy. So once you clear that energy, it can be, you can do it in a snap. You can do it quickly, easily, and your world can become so simple when you realize that. It's just, think about how long it's taken us to get to this point. And I'm still, you know, I
we're
fully
still evolving. We're still
learning.
evolving.
I'm still evolving. Absolutely, absolutely.
No one is ever going to reach that perfect, they've evolved to the highest. It's never going to happen, because we always have learning to do. There's always more to learn. There's always more to experience. You know what I mean? So it's like always a thing. So that's
what would the purpose of our soul be then if we weren't learning, if we weren't expanding? It would be
boring.
I actually think that's why the big intervention kind of happened with Earth, is that it becomes so stagnant, you know what I mean? That something needed to change. And you mentioned, I think, on one of your shows that you felt like it was God like smacking his hand down at the pandemic and saying, everybody stop, we're stopping, we are resetting, and you know what I mean? And it kind of reminds me of when Oprah was on the stage that day and she fell, a video of her, and to me it looked like God's hand was just smacking her over. And so, you know, if you can think of someone like that, of the things they've been doing, and it's going to be a lot of other people that the truth comes out about them as well. So be prepared and know that there's people here to assist, because that's why we're here, right?
That's why we're here. We're here to help assist you in any way that we can, so that you can move forward as well, because it's all about us, right? It's about us coming together as communities, our soul tribes, our soul families. You know what I mean? Even though we're like, you know, at least good 2,000 miles apart or whatever, you know what I mean? But we're still part of the same soul family, tribe, whatever you guys want to call it. So more communities, I feel like, are going to be coming together in your communities. So find those people that you connect with, that you guys can hang with, that are more like-minded. This is going to help people to advance as well. If you can get with people that think like you do, or, you know, at least similarly, it kind of like helps raise that vibration as well, as they all learn truth, as they, you know, advance. All right. So I think we're pretty much going to wrap this up. I think we gave them about an hours of our truth. And it's funny because they kept giving me a few names for the show. We could call it Truthful Tuesday, or we could call it something, you know what I mean? I don't know. They always get funny in my head. But we are going to put this down on YouTube. So our information to contact us will be under those, because it'll go out on my channel, as well as Dita's Complicated by Design. It'll also have her link to get you over to her little video. I suggest everyone give that sizzle a sizzle look, because it's going to help sizzle you on the inside, help bring in that spark that you need. And this was a lot of fun. So I thank you, Dia. Thanks for stepping in and speaking your truth as well.
Thank you. Love to all.
All right. And I'm going to hit stop recording. Love y'all. Bye-bye.